The arrival. The sleek diplomatic shuttle glided into the docking bay of Nexus 9, its silver hull reflecting the vibrant blues and purples of the space station's bioluminescent lighting. Inside, Sarah Chen took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders as she prepared to disembark. As Earth's chosen representative to the Galactic Council, the weight of humanity's future rested squarely on her shoulders. "Ambassador Chen, we've arrived." The pilot's voice crackled through the intercom. "Good luck out there. We're all counting on you." Sarah nodded, though the pilot couldn't see her. "Thanks, Jensen. Let's hope the council is in a welcoming mood." As the airlock hissed open, Sarah stepped onto the deck of Nexus 9, her first time setting foot on a structure not built by human hands. The air carried a faint metallic tang, and gravity felt just slightly off, a constant reminder that she was far from home. A delegation awaited her, a motley crew of alien diplomats that looked like they'd stepped out of a sci-fi fever dream. Leading the group was a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to swirl with galaxies. "Welcome to Nexus 9, Ambassador Chen," the alien said, its voice a melodious trill that seemed to bypass her ears and resonate directly in her mind. "I am Zarthal, liaison to the Galactic Council. We hope your journey was pleasant." Sarah bowed slightly, careful to maintain eye contact as her cultural briefings had stressed. "Thank you, Liaison Zarthal. The journey was fascinating. Humanity is honored to be considered for council membership." A ripple of murmurs passed through the assembled aliens. Sarah caught snippets of translated conversation from her earpiece. "So fragile looking. Primitive propulsion technology. How did they even make it this far?" She kept her diplomatic smile firmly in place, though internally she felt a flicker of annoyance. Humanity had fought tooth and nail to reach the stars, overcoming global wars, climate disasters, and resource shortages. They'd earned their place here. Zarthal gestured for Sarah to follow, leading her through winding corridors that pulsed with alien energy. "The Council is eager to meet you, Ambassador. Your species has caused quite a stir since we made first contact." "I hope it's been a positive stir," Sarah replied, lengthening her stride to keep up with Zarthal's graceful gait. A being that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a crystal formation chittered something her translator rendered as laughter. "That depends on who you ask, human. Some see potential in your kind. Others see only danger." Sarah turned to the crystalline insectoid, arching an eyebrow. "And you? What do you see?" "I see a species that crawled out of the radioactive muck of a death world and dared to reach for the stars," the alien replied. "Whether that is admirable or foolish remains to be seen." Before Sarah could respond, they arrived at a vast chamber. Tiered seating rose in a semicircle, filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied easy categorization. Beams of pure energy, sentient gas clouds, and things Sarah's mind struggled to comprehend. At the center of it all stood a podium, currently occupied by a massive, tentacled creature that seemed to shift between various shades of blue and green. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Zarthal announced, voice reverberating through the chamber, "I present to you Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth, representing humanity in their petition for council membership." All eyes, and various other sensory organs, turned to Sarah. The weight of their collective gaze was almost physical, a pressure bearing down on her. But Sarah Chen hadn't become Earth's foremost diplomat by succumbing to pressure. She stepped forward, chin held high. "Honored members of the Council," she began, her voice clear and strong. "Humanity comes before you not as conquerors or supplicants, but as partners. We offer our creativity, our determination, and our unique perspective as a species that has overcome great adversity." A susurration of whispers filled the chamber. Sarah continued, undeterred. "We know that many of you view Earth as a death world, and us as something to be feared. But I put it to you that our harsh cradle is the very thing that recommends us. Humanity has faced extinction-level events, fought back from the brink of environmental collapse, and united a planet of incredible diversity. We have much to offer the galactic community. The tentacled being at the podium raised an appendage, silencing the murmurs. Pretty words, Ambassador Chen. But the Council does not admit new species based on words alone. You must prove your worth. We're prepared to do so, Sarah replied firmly. Whatever trials or tests the Council deems necessary, humanity will face them. A new voice cut through the chamber, harsh and grating. Then let us see how the soft-skinned ape fares in real challenge. All heads turned to a hulking, reptilian being, its scales gleaming like polished obsidian. It stood, towering over its neighbors, yellow eyes fixed on Sarah with predatory intent. I, Krogath of the Vargan Imperium, invoke the right of Zorkathen, the challenge of worthy souls. Let this human prove her species' worth in honorable combat. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations and excited chatter. Sarah's translator struggled to keep up with the overlapping voices. She turned to Zarthel, whose iridescent skin had paled considerably. What exactly is this challenge? She asked quietly. Zarthel's swirling eyes met hers, filled with something that looked unsettlingly like pity. It is an ancient rite, rarely invoked. A trial by combat to prove a species' worthiness. Ambassador Chen, he's challenging you to a duel. Sarah felt a moment of vertigo as the implications sank in. Everything, Earth's future, humanity's place among the stars, now rested on her ability to win a fight against an alien gladiator. She should have been terrified. She should have objected, should have argued that this wasn't what she came here for. Instead, Sarah felt a surge of something she hadn't expected. Excitement. A smile slowly spread across her face, one that seemed to unnerve the aliens nearest to her. A duel, you say? Well then, Krogath of the Vargan Imperium. She raised her voice, locking eyes with the reptilian behemoth. I accept your challenge. Let's see what humanity can do. The chamber fell silent, every alien staring at the small human woman who had just cheerfully accepted a challenge that many of them considered certain death. In that moment, watching the mix of confusion, fear, and dawning curiosity on alien faces, Sarah knew she had already begun to change minds. Humanity's trial by fire was just beginning, and Sarah Chen intended to show the galaxy exactly what her species was made of. The challenge. The council chamber erupted into chaos following Sarah's acceptance of Krogath's challenge. Aliens of all shapes and sizes gesticulated wildly, their translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of protests, exclamations, and hurried wagers. Zarthel placed a shimmering hand on Sarah's shoulder. Ambassador Chen, perhaps you don't fully understand the gravity of the situation. The Zorkathen is not a simple contest. It is a brutal trial that has claimed the lives of beings far more physically imposing than yourself. Sarah met the alien's swirling gaze steadily. I understand perfectly, Liz and Zarthel. But humanity didn't come this far by backing down from challenges. We adapt. We overcome. It's what we do best. The tentacled being at the podium raised several appendages, finally silencing the uproar. The challenge has been issued and accepted, it intoned, its voice resonating at a frequency that made Sarah's teeth vibrate. As per our most ancient laws, it must now be honored. The Zorkathen will commence in 3 rotations. Krogath, the massive Vargan who had issued the challenge, stomped forward. Up close, Sarah could see that what she had taken for obsidian scales were actually some kind of biometallic armor fused to the alien's hide. He towered over her, easily 3 times her height, with muscles rippling beneath his armored skin. Little human, he growled, yellow eyes narrowing. Your species' arrogance will be your downfall. I will crush you beneath my heel, and your pitiful world will be denied its place among the stars. Sarah tilted her head back to meet his gaze, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. You know where I come from. We have a saying. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I look forward to teaching you its meaning. A rumble emanated from Krogath's chest. Laughter, Sarah realized. Your quaint idioms will not save you in the arena, soft one. Prepare yourself for oblivion. As the Varjan stomped away, Zarthal turned to Sarah, their iridescent skin fluctuating rapidly through shades of blue and green. Ambassador, you must understand. Krogath is a seasoned warrior from a high-gravity world. His species evolved as apex predators. This challenge, it's suicide. Sarah's smile didn't waver. Maybe. Or maybe it's exactly the opportunity humanity needs to prove itself. Now, can you show me where I can prepare? I have a feeling the next 3 rotations are going to be busy. Zarthal led her through the twisting corridors of Nexus 9, past curious aliens who whispered and pointed as she passed. Finally, they arrived at a simple door that raised open at their approach. These will be your quarters during your stay, Zarthal explained. They've been adapted to Earth's standard atmosphere and gravity. You'll find a data terminal inside with information on the Zorkathan and your opponent. I wish you luck. Ambassador Chen, your courage is admirable, if perhaps misplaced. As the door closed behind her, Sarah let out a long breath, finally allowing her diplomatic mask to slip. The reality of what she'd agreed to began to sink in. She was going to fight an alien gladiator, with the fate of humanity's galactic standing hanging in the balance. The weight of it all threatened to crush her. But Sarah Chen hadn't become humanity's representative by crumbling under pressure. She squared her shoulders and moved to the data terminal, determined to learn everything she could about the challenge ahead. Hours slipped by as Sarah absorbed information about the Zorkathan. It was an ancient tradition, rarely invoked in modern times, meant to test not just physical prowess but adaptability, cunning, and the essential nature of a species. The arena itself would be randomized, presenting environmental challenges alongside the physical threat of one's opponent. As she read about past Zorkathan matches, a plan began to form in Sarah's mind. She couldn't hope to match Krogath in raw strength or durability, but humans had never relied solely on brute force to overcome their challenges. A chime at her door interrupted her studies. Sarah opened it to find a delegation of aliens waiting outside. Not council officials, but a motley crew of beings who seemed almost nervous to be there. A small fuzzy creature that reminded Sarah of a sentient pom-pom stepped forward. "Greetings, human ambassador," it squeaked, voice high and fluty. We came to offer our assistance, if you'll have it." Sarah blinked in surprise. "That's very kind, but why?" A being composed of interlocking geometric shapes floated forward. "Not all of us agree with Krogath's views," it said, voice resonating from within its crystalline structure. "Some of us see potential in humanity. We believe you deserve a fair chance." And added a tall, spindly alien with too many eyes. "Some of us have grown tired of the Varjan Imperium's bullying. It would be satisfying to see Krogath's arrogance punctured." Sarah felt a warmth spreading through her chest. Hope, she realized. She wasn't alone out here among the stars. "I would be honored to accept your help," she said, bowing slightly. "Please come in. We have much to discuss." The next 2 rotations passed in a blur of activity. Sarah's unlikely allies brought her materials to study, helped her understand the nuances of alien physiology, and even assisted in modifying some of the equipment she'd brought from Earth. All the while, news of the impending Zorkathan spread through Nexus 9 like wildfire. On the eve of the challenge, Sarah stood before a window in her quarters, gazing out at the star-studded void. Somewhere out there was Earth, counting on her to secure humanity's future among the stars. A chime from her data terminal drew her attention. It was a message from Zarthal. "Ambassador Chen, it is time. The Zorkathan awaits." Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself. She thought of all the humans who had overcome impossible odds throughout history. Explorers, revolutionaries, scientists who had changed the world through sheer force of will and ingenuity. "Well," she said to her reflection in the window, a fierce grin spreading across her face, "let's show them what humanity can do." With that, Sarah Chen stepped out of her quarters and made her way to the arena, ready to fight not just for herself, but for the future of her entire species. The challenge awaited, and with it, the chance to reshape humanity's destiny among the stars. The preparation. The walk to the Zorkathan arena felt both endless and far too short. Sarah Chen strode through the corridors of Nexus 9, flanked by Zarthal and a small contingent of alien officials. The station's inhabitants lined the passage, a kaleidoscope of alien life forms watching her with a mix of curiosity, pity, and in some cases, what looked like genuine hope. Sarah kept her head high, her steps measured and confident. Inside, her mind raced, reviewing everything she had learned and prepared over the past 3 rotations. She couldn't match Krogath in brute strength, but humans had always excelled at turning disadvantages into advantages. As they approached a massive set of doors emblazoned with swirling alien script, Zarthal turned to her. "This is where I must leave you, Ambassador Chen. Through these doors lies the preparation chamber. You will have one final unit of time to ready yourself before entering the arena." Sarah nodded, offering the iridescent being a small smile. "Thank you, Zarthal, for everything." Zarthal's swirling eyes seemed to shimmer with an emotion Sarah couldn't quite identify. "Your courage honors your species, human. Whatever the outcome, know that you have already changed minds here today." With that, the massive doors swung open, and Sarah stepped into the preparation chamber alone. The room was a curious blend of high technology and what seemed like ritual space. Weapons of various designs lined the walls, alongside devices Sarah could only guess at. At the center stood a raised platform, bathed in a soft, pulsing light. A disembodied voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language her translator rendered into crisp, accentless English. "Challenger, you may select up to 3 items from this chamber to aid you in the Zorkathan. Choose wisely, for your life and the fate of your species may depend on these choices." Sarah approached the walls, her eyes roving over the alien arsenal. Many of the weapons were clearly designed for beings much larger and stronger than herself. She passed by massive warhammers, energy weapons that looked like they'd dislocate her shoulder if fired, and serrated blades longer than she was tall. Instead, she focused on smaller, more versatile items. Her first choice was a thin, flexible band that her briefing had identified as a personal force field generator. It wouldn't stop everything, but it might give her a crucial edge in survivability. For her second item, she selected what appeared to be a grappling device, compact, but capable of firing a nearly unbreakable tether. In an arena of unknown configuration, mobility could be key. Sarah hesitated over her final choice. The obvious option would be a weapon, but something told her that outgunning Krogath wasn't the answer. Instead, her eyes fell on a small, innocuous-looking cube. According to her alien allies, it was a holoprojector capable of creating convincing visual and auditory illusions. Limited in scope, but in clever hands. "I've made my selections," Sarah announced to the room at large. "Acknowledged," the disembodied voice replied. "Proceed to the central platform for final preparations." As Sarah stepped onto the raised dais, the pulsing light intensified. She felt a tingling sensation across her skin as the light seemed to seep into her very pores. When it faded, she found herself clad in a sleek, form-fitting suit that moved like a second skin. Biomechanical interface complete, the voice intoned. Zorkathan armor calibrated to human physiology. Warning: while this armor will offer some protection, it is not designed to withstand direct assaults from beings of superior strength. Evasion and strategic thinking are advised. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. "Don't worry," she muttered. "I wasn't planning on taking any direct hits if I can help it." She spent the remaining time familiarizing herself with her chosen items, running through potential scenarios in her head. The holoprojector, in particular, would require split-second timing and creativity to use effectively. All too soon, a resonant tone filled the chamber. "The Zorkathan commences. Challenger, enter the arena and face your trial." The far wall of the chamber shimmered and vanished, revealing a swirling portal of energy. Beyond it, Sarah could make out glimpses of a vast, ever-shifting landscape. The roar of an unseen crowd filtered through, a reminder of the enormous audience watching this spectacle unfold. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself. She thought of Earth, of the billions counting on her, of the cosmic scale of this moment. One human woman, standing as a proxy for her entire species on the galactic stage. With a fierce grin, Sarah Chen stepped through the portal and into legend. The Zorkathen had begun, and with it, humanity's trial by fire in the cosmic arena. As she emerged on the other side, the first thing that struck Sarah was the sheer scale of the place. The arena was a vast, dome-shaped expanse that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Terrain shifted and changed before her eyes. Here a craggy mountain, there a stretch of bubbling swamp, and in the distance, something that looked unsettlingly like a field of giant carnivorous plants. Hovering platforms throughout the arena held thousands of alien spectators, their cacophony of cheers, jeers, and untranslatable exclamations filling the air. Somewhere among them, Sarah knew, were the members of the Galactic Council, watching to judge humanity's worth. A booming voice echoed through the arena, introducing the combatants in a language Sarah's translator couldn't quite keep up with. But she didn't need a translation to recognize her own name, nor the roar that followed the announcement of Krogath. The Varjan warrior emerged from a portal opposite Sarah, his massive form even more imposing in the arena's strange light. He carried a weapon that looked like a cross between a battle axe and a particle accelerator, crackling with barely contained energy. So, the little human didn't flee. Krogath's voice boomed across the arena. Your species must have a death wish. Sarah activated her force field, feeling the comforting hum of energy enveloping her. You know, she called back, her voice amplified by the arena systems. Where I come from, we have another saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. Krogath's response was a bellow of rage as he charged forward, his massive strides eating up the distance between them. The ground shook with each impact of his feet. Sarah's mind raced, analyzing the terrain, looking for advantages. She had seconds to act before the Varjan's first devastating blow fell. With a tight smile, she activated her grappling device, aiming for a floating rock formation above. Time to show the galaxy what humanity can do, she muttered, and launched herself into the air just as Krogath's weapon smashed into the ground where she had stood. The Zorkathen had begun in earnest, and with it, the fight for humanity's future among the stars. The duel. Sarah's grappling line sang as it pulled her skyward, just barely avoiding Krogath's crushing blow. The Varjan's weapon impacted the ground with a thunderous crash, sending shockwaves rippling through the arena floor. Fragments of exotic matter sprayed outward, sizzling where they landed. Impressive reflexes, little human, Krogath growled, his yellow eyes tracking Sarah's arc through the air. But you cannot evade me forever. Sarah landed on the floating rock formation, quickly assessing her surroundings. The arena was a patchwork of impossible terrain. Gravity seemed to shift between sections, and what looked like solid ground in one area might be revealed as a gaseous mirage in the next. Who said anything about evading? Sarah called back, her mind racing. I'm just getting warmed up. She fired her grappling line again, this time using it to swing in a wide arc around Krogath. The Varjan tracked her movement, his massive form pivoting with surprising agility. As Sarah released the line, letting her momentum carry her forward, Krogath swung his weapon in a devastating arc. Time seemed to slow. Sarah tucked into a roll, feeling the crackle of energy as the axe passed mere centimeters above her. She came up running, sprinting towards a section of the arena that looked like a crystalline forest. Krogath's laughter boomed behind her. Run all you like, human. It only delays the inevitable. But Sarah wasn't running. She was thinking, planning, adapting. As she entered the crystal forest, she activated her holoprojector, creating multiple images of herself darting between the towering formations. Krogath burst into the forest, his massive form shattering smaller crystals as he passed. He hesitated, yellow eyes darting between the various images of Sarah. With a roar of frustration, he swung his weapon in a wide arc, cleaving through several illusory Sarahs. "Cowardly tricks," he bellowed. "Face me like a true warrior." "You know," Sarah's voice echoed from multiple directions, "on Earth, we have these animals called octopuses. Brilliant creatures. When threatened, they don't just rely on brute strength. They change colors, create distractions, use tools. They adapt." As she spoke, Sarah was maneuvering through the crystal forest, each step carefully placed. She could feel the strange energies of the arena flowing around her, and an idea began to form. "The point is," she continued, "true intelligence isn't about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about using what you have in creative ways." With that, Sarah deactivated her holoprojector and revealed herself, standing at the edge of the crystal forest. Krogath's eyes locked onto her, a predatory grin spreading across his face. "At last, you show yourself," he growled, raising his weapon. "Any last words, human?" Sarah smiled. "Just 3. Look behind you." It was an old trick, one that shouldn't have worked on a seasoned warrior. But something in Sarah's tone, or perhaps simple curiosity, made Krogath hesitate. He half-turned, just for a moment. In that instant, Sarah acted. She fired her grappling line, not at Krogath, but at a specific crystal formation she had identified. As the line connected, she channeled all her suit's power into the force field generator. The result was spectacular. The crystal, already humming with the arena's strange energies, amplified the force field's output exponentially. A shockwave of energy burst outward, catching Krogath off guard and sending him stumbling. Sarah didn't waste the opportunity. She retracted her grappling line at high speed, launching herself forward. As she flew towards Krogath, she curled into a ball, building momentum. At the last possible second, she uncurled, both feet connecting squarely with Krogath's jaw in a perfectly executed dropkick. The impact was far greater than her small frame should have been capable of, enhanced by the lingering energy of the crystal-amplified force field. Krogath's head snapped back, his massive form teetering. For a moment, it seemed impossible that such a relatively small impact could fell the giant. Then, with glacial slowness, he began to topple. The Varjan warrior crashed to the ground with an impact that shook the entire arena. Sarah landed in a crouch nearby, every muscle tensed, ready for a counterattack. But Krogath didn't rise. He lay there, dazed, his fearsome weapon slipped from slack fingers. A stunned silence fell over the arena. Then, gradually, a murmur began to build among the spectators. It grew, swelling into a cacophony of alien voices. Sarah's translator struggled to keep up, but she caught snippets. "Impossible. Did you see that? The human won." Sarah stood, her chest heaving with exertion. She approached Krogath cautiously, noting the dazed look in his yellow eyes. "Do you yield?" she asked, her voice carrying clearly in the now hushed arena. Krogath's eyes focused on her, confusion giving way to a complex mix of emotions: anger, disbelief, and, surprisingly, a glimmer of respect. "I yield," he rumbled, the words clearly costing him. "You have bested me, human. The Zorkathan is yours." As soon as the words left Krogath's mouth, the arena erupted into chaos. Alien spectators were on their feet, gesticulating wildly, their voices a storm of excitement and disbelief. Sarah offered a hand to Krogath, helping the massive alien to his feet, a gesture that seemed to surprise him as much as her victory had. "You fought well," she said, "but remember, it's not always about who's strongest. It's about who can adapt, who can think creatively under pressure. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy." As arena officials rushed towards them, and the crowd's roar reached fever pitch, Sarah allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. She had done it. Against all odds, she had proven humanity's worth on the galactic stage. The real challenge, she knew, was just beginning. But in that moment, basking in the shocked awe of 1,000 alien species, Sarah Chen felt the limitless potential of humanity's future among the stars. The aftermath. The days following Sarah Chen's unexpected victory in the Zorkathan were a whirlwind of activity. Nexus 9 buzzed with excitement, alien diplomats clamoring for audiences with the human who had defied all expectations. Sarah found herself at the center of a galactic media storm, her feat replayed and analyzed on countless holo-channels across the known universe. As she stood before the Galactic Council once more, Sarah couldn't help but notice the shift in atmosphere. Where before there had been skepticism and barely veiled disdain, now there was curiosity, respect, and more than a little apprehension. The tentacled being who had presided over her initial appearance raised several appendages for silence. Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth, it intoned, its voice resonating through the chamber. You have completed the Zorkathan, proving both your personal mettle and the potential of your species. The Council recognizes humanity's right to petition for membership. A ripple of murmurs passed through the assembled aliens. Sarah inclined her head respectfully. On behalf of Earth and all of humanity, I thank the Council for this opportunity. We are eager to take our place among the galactic community and contribute to our shared future among the stars. As the formal proceedings continued, Sarah's mind drifted to the implications of what she had achieved. Humanity's potential had been recognized, yes, but with that recognition came new challenges. Some species would see them as valuable allies, others as potential threats. The political landscape of the galaxy had shifted, and Earth would need to navigate these new waters carefully. Her thoughts were interrupted by a familiar, gravelly voice. Ambassador Chen. Sarah turned to find Krogath approaching, his massive form drawing curious looks from nearby diplomats. The Varjan warrior inclined his head slightly, not quite a bow, but a clear show of respect. Your victory was unexpected, Krogath rumbled, but well earned. You have given me much to consider about the nature of strength and adaptability. Sarah offered a smile. Thank you, Krogath. Your own strength and skill are formidable. I hope that in time, our species can move beyond competition and find ways to collaborate. Krogath's yellow eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Perhaps. The galaxy is vast and full of challenges that might require diverse approaches. With that cryptic statement, the Varjan warrior moved away, leaving Sarah to ponder the potential of an alliance that would have seemed impossible mere days ago. As the council session concluded, Sarah found herself surrounded by a diverse group of alien diplomats, all eager to establish relations with humanity's representative. She fielded questions, accepted invitations to further discussions, and began the delicate dance of interstellar diplomacy. Zarthal approached, their iridescent skin shimmering with what Sarah had come to recognize as excitement. Ambassador Chen, your performance in the Zorkathan has opened many doors. Several influential species are already expressing interest in technological and cultural exchanges with Earth. Sarah nodded, her mind racing with the possibilities. That's excellent news, Zarthal. But we must proceed cautiously. Humanity is still finding its footing on the galactic stage. We need to ensure that any agreements we make benefit both parties and don't compromise Earth's sovereignty. Wise words, a new voice chimed in. Sarah turned to see the crystalline insectoid who had spoken to her upon her arrival. Your species has proven its potential, but potential can be a double-edged sword. Some in the galaxy will seek to exploit it, others to contain it. Then we'll just have to stay one step ahead. Sarah replied with a determined smile. Adaptation isn't just for physical challenges, after all. As the diplomatic reception continued, Sarah found a quiet moment to step aside and gaze out at the star-studded void beyond Nexus 9. Somewhere out there was Earth, still unaware of the monumental shift in its cosmic status. She thought of the message she would soon send home, of the celebrations and concerns it would spark, of the new era dawning for humanity. The challenges ahead were enormous. Integrating into a galactic community of wildly diverse species, each with their own agendas and millennia of history. Navigating the complex web of alliances, trade agreements, and potential conflicts that came with their new status, ensuring that humanity's unique strengths were recognized while guarding against those who might seek to take advantage. But as Sarah Chen stood there, at the precipice of humanity's greatest adventure, she felt a surge of optimism. They had faced impossible odds before and triumphed. They had proven their worth in the cosmic arena. Whatever the galaxy might throw at them, humanity would face it with the same spirit of innovation, adaptability, and determination that had brought them to the stars. Ambassador Chen. Zarthal's melodious voice broke through her reverie. The Council is requesting your presence. There are matters of galactic security to discuss, and they are particularly interested in humanity's perspective. Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Well then, she said with a smile that held equal parts excitement and resolve, let's not keep the galaxy waiting. As she turned to follow Zarthal back into the council chamber, Sarah felt the weight of history on her shoulders. But it was a weight she was prepared to bear. Humanity had taken its first true steps onto the galactic stage, and Sarah Chen was determined to ensure it would be a performance to remember. The stars beckoned, full of challenges and opportunities beyond imagination, and humanity, as it always had, would rise to meet them head-on.